What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of my recent pickups from a local card show that I went to. I thought it's actually quite important for you guys to see what singles I'm picking up now, because obviously, right now, the market's quite volatile, to say the least, in terms of singles. So I thought, it might be a nice little insight into what I believe will do well, just over the grading months that it takes to come back. Because that is always a risk. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me here today, and I really appreciate everything you've been doing for me recently. But if you guys want to keep showing the love, these are my socials. Feel free to follow them. Obviously, if you guys like anything on my store that you want to purchase, if you send me a screenshot that you're subscribed, I am sure we can take a little bit of the price off for you. So yeah, with that, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. So let's get into this. This is probably my biggest pickup I've ever done, and that's saying something. The channel's come a long way, and it's quite a surreal moment that I'm starting to really get into some of these bigger cards, right? So just before we start, the first three cards you're about to see have all come from a trade that I did where I got rid of my Vivid Voltage booster box. So I essentially just traded it in. It actually had a hole in it. So I didn't really want to sell it on eBay. So what I did was I just traded it in for free cards. So I originally purchased a Vivid Voltage box back in 2022 for 125. Not my best investment. I just wanted to see it gone, really. So I traded it in for £200. So 75 profit there, plus hopefully I'd profit off this. But I saw this Magikarp and it was clean. It was really clean. Now, the only thing, it's not going to be a 10 copy. I'm hoping it will be. There's always that part of you that just wishes and hopes. And, the centering is, the top to bottom centering is off, right? It's a very, very off. I've scanned it so many times, and whatever I come up with, it's not a PSA 10 copy. So my prediction now, I've gone for a PSA 9. I'm always praying that it's a 10 because everything else is clean. The corners are clean, the surface is clean, the edges are clean. And what's interesting is when I was picking the Magikarp up, I didn't realize there's a Gyarados in the back there. And it just goes to show you that, like, when you're at card shows, you can see everything a lot more, it's a lot more clear, right? You can see the card, you can really appreciate the card in person a lot more than you can, through eBay. And I feel like that personal, you just experience, the experience is better, right? And I feel like on eBay you don't really get that, and that's why card shows are important, because you can really see, the quality of the card in person, and you can see what you think it's going to grade, right? That's why it's important. You have to go to card shows, and it's a lot of effort, but I really do enjoy it. It's a great time. It's a great day out, if you want to take the kids, and it's a family thing as well. So that's why I love grading cards. So I think I'm going to lose money, but I feel like I have to try, because you never know what grader you're going to get, and I just think it's sort of worth the time, worth the gamble. And even if it gets a 9, I feel like Paldea is so out of print right now that it's not going to go down, right, in a 9. I don't think it's going to go down. So that, I feel like my risk is fair for this. That's why I've sort of justified it that way. So the second card from the same vendor that I picked up was this Shiftry. Now, I've always really loved Shiftry as a Pokemon. I think the design is flawless, and this card really, it literally is the embodiment of perfect, illustration to the perfect sort of designed Pokemon, in my opinion. I think it is a great card, and I think this card will do very well. But it's quite cheap right now, and I thought, I'd pick it up. The PSA 10 has got some good margin. It's a clean copy. It's centered. It's no edge wear, nothing. If this doesn't get a 10, then I don't know what is a 10 anymore. So I'm pretty confident it's going to get a 10. So look, the profit's there. The profit margin's there, guys. 45 on a 12 pound card. I saw it, I took it, and it was just part of the deal. So yeah, very interesting move from me. The Unagaba cards. I've actually started. I started collecting them this time round on the card show. They were all just so clean. This is crazy. The Japanese print quality. Until like you keep hearing Japanese print quality is insane, but you see it in person and it was flawless. If these don't get a 10 again, I don't know what will, because it's the print quality night and day, night and day. And I don't normally pick up Japanese cards, but I saw these and I thought, they're exclusive, right? They're not gonna. It's only gonna go up, surely, right? So I think even if I get them and hold them and don't sell them for a bit, I think it's a great investment right now. Um, it's a simple, plain but cool artwork, right? I like that. I like the simplicity of it. Even though most of the time I like the fancy stuff, but I love the simplicity of this, and I think the profit margin is not great, but I think it's a no brainer. It's an absolute no brainer. So those three cards were sort of bundled together for an approximate £200 value for my Vivid Voltage box that I got 75 profit on over like the course of, it was rubbish, over the course of like 4 years. But we don't talk about that anymore. Espeon, the second one, I went to a different vendor. I was trying to pick up the Vaporeon as well, and maybe the Eevee, but yeah, we didn't come to an agreement on that. So I sort of said, well, what would you want for the two? He sort of gave me 10% off, and I took it. But it's a little off centering, sort of left to right, so it might not get a 10, but I think it would be really harsh if this doesn't get a 10. But yeah, it's not perfectly centered, but it's a pristine copy of the card, right? So I could only imagine this will get a 9 or a 10. Same with Sylveon, same vendor. I thought, it's a clean copy. It's a little off left to right, but again, I think it's well within 10 candidate range. I should probably scan them and check, but on this you can get a scanner app if you didn't know. You can check centering. But yeah, it looks clean. Everything is clean. The Japanese print quality again, I was just blown away. So I thought, they should get 10s. Why not send them off? Now on to some of my bit of a hidden play here that I think people still to this day underestimate celebrations, and I am just the biggest believer. I've done the most homework on celebrations. I know the prices, I know the gem rates, I know, I just feel comfortable. It's where I feel comfortable picking up on a card show, and I feel like I know what gets 10s and what gets 9s, and even the 9s sometimes you might see later that you end up just still making money on the 9, which is essentially a no risk play, right? As long as you don't get an 8, it's a no risk play. But this Blastoise, it was clean. It looks centered to me, maybe slightly off, but it's 10. It's 10 centering. There's no question. The surface was clean. Edges, there's no edge wear. There's no corner wear. So I don't see this getting anything but a 10, to be honest. And if it doesn't get a 10, I'd be very, very, very surprised. But the profit margins there, guys. Celebrations, I'm telling you, if you get comfortable with a set and you know the set and you've done your research, you've done the gem rates, you've looked at all the data, you've looked at the most important thing and the most sort of research you should do is on margin. Is what's your profit going to be after fees, and if you get a 9 or a 10, you have to do that risk. And if you're breaking even or profiting on the 9, that's normally a good indicator that you should be in this card if you think you're going to get a 9 or a 10 and you still make profit on the 9. In fact, you should probably be picking up all the singles that you can on those cards. And one of those cards is the Birthday Pikachu, right? You also profit on the 9. If you can get this card for £15 and under, you also profit on a 9. And if you get a 10 and it's clean, the profit margin's there, right? I don't know what else to say. I know it's sort of smaller cards and you have to do it's a lot more capital tied up, but if you're growing a channel like me and you're growing your financial basis, these cards are perfect, right? These cards are absolutely perfect, and you can. I've got another card show in a few weeks, sorry, and I'll be now that I know and I'm confident and that I will be looking for birthday Pikachus under 15, just because I know that if I get a 9, I'm still break even to profit, and if I get a 10, the profit margin's there. And I feel like that little bit of extra research goes a long way. And I always feel that when I go to a card show and I haven't done my research, I feel out of bounds. I feel like I'm all over the place. I don't really know what I'm looking for. But if you do your homework before, that is where the money is. The money is being made when you're doing your homework, because you get confident, and you in and out, trade, buy, whatever you want to do. So this was a cash deal, same as the Unagaba cards. That they were all cash deals, but obviously the Vivid Voltage box was a trade in. So I'm happy I got rid of the Vivid Voltage box. Sorry, it was a sort of long time coming. I've still got one in my sealed collection, but I think it's, if you want to start getting rid of some of the sealed stuff, it's a great place to trade in and try and keep capitalizing off that capital. So yeah, it's one of those. I've also gone into the stained glass birds, and it's it's one of those cards that it's 10 or nothing, right? It's 10 or nothing. Now, I'm debating sending this card off at all, to be honest. I've actually don't have enough cards to send to PSA because I submit through a middleman, the sub center, but you need 10 cards minimum. So this is a 9 card pickup. I need a couple more cards, hopefully, in the next leg of the picking up cards, because you need a minimum. So, but when I looked at this card, there was a little imperfection on the wing of the Articuno. There was a little summon that I couldn't really remove. I'm not sure if that was a printer error, or it's sort of been added since then. But I'm hopeful that it looked like a printer error, and you can still actually get a 10 if there's a very minor error on the original print of a card. If there's a very minor error, uh, either in the way they cut the corner, or if it's a printing error and not a wearing error, then then you can still grade a 10. If you guys didn't know, but most of the time it's to do with centering. This card was centered, the edges were clean. It was only the surface, right? It was a surface imperfection. So there's chance I'm hopeful there's a chance of this getting a 10, right? And if that's the case, then we're in the money. But the 9, it's essentially there to make up my quantity required for grading at the minute. But I could just risk it, because otherwise, if it gets, you're risking not getting a 10 at the same time. So you got to weigh up the price, weigh up the risk as well. But the second one, yes, there's two. I picked this up for £5 more at 45. This was clean. This was clean. It looked centered to me, up, down, left, right. It looked centered enough to get a 10 anyway. The back looked clean. They don't really care about the centering at the back. If you guys don't know, the way PSA work is they mainly work off the front of the card. The back of the card, they're not overly worried unless it's edge wear or wear on the sides. They're not, in terms of centering. They don't. The centering sort of qualification to get a 10 is a lot less on the back than it is on the front. So when you're going around looking for cards, you want to be looking at the front of the card mainly. As long as the back looks like, if you can eyeball it and it looks okay, then it'll be fine, right? So yeah, it looked great. And look at that profit margin, guys. These have spiked up in price so much that the potential profit is crazy. And if it's a stunning card. I've already got it in a 10, and I don't want to get rid of it. And I graded it, and I bought it myself, and I graded it myself. I just don't want to get rid of it. And I can see why the price is going where it is. And as Hidden Fates, these ETBs that got reprinted to the ground, as they start sort of getting opened and out of circulation, we should see this card just keep climbing, because the demand is there for this card. And I can attest to that, because I keep picking up the singles, right? And if you want to pick up the singles, you might want the 10, you might want the 9. So yeah, I think this is a good play. It's a riskier play because it's sort of 10 or nothing, but sometimes the risk is worth taking, right? So a quick overview. 9 cards in this pickup from Celtic Card Show. Shout out to them. I'm expecting a gem rate of 78. Now that's 7 out of 9. Grading 10s. It might be less, 6 out of 9. It might be 66%, but I'm expecting over 50, right? Just because I am being so meticulous at picking up these cards now. I'm being very, very, very fussy because I know it's just getting harder to out there to get 10s, and the PSA have changed their centering qualifications for a 10 recently. It's just getting harder, right? And the print quality is getting worse. So we're going to end up in a world where 10s are just going to be ridiculously hard to get. But that's where we're going. But you gotta look at these things. So grading costs 157. These grading costs are crazy. It is what it is. But the fact it's still not £10 a card is driving me up the wall. But nevertheless, it is what it is. Card costs 378. So I spent quite a lot this time around on singles. It's definitely one of the biggest sort of plays I've made. But luckily, most of that cost was obviously the booster box trading in. So if you take 200 off that, I only paid really 178 in cash. So I'm happy with that. Estimated sales, I'm hoping for roughly £830 off of the sale, and then the profit is the difference, right? 300 quid. And guys, I just wanted to show you that if you're fussy and if you're meticulous, you do your homework, you do everything that you put in. You go to these card shows. You have to go to the card shows. You keep stacking up this wheel of constant accumulation of financials. It will keep going the way you want it to go, right? You put in what you get out. The other way around. But yeah, it's doable. I just wanted to show you that it's still doable even in this market, and you just have to put in the time, you have to put in the work. But that's the type of singles that I'm picking up right now. So if you guys were sort of wondering what you should be picking up, I've made a recent mistake. I would stay away from the stuff that's a bit recent in terms of stuff getting reprints, just because the singles are really, really starting to tank. It's a great time to pick up singles, but it's maybe not the great time to grade them. Stuff like Surgeon and Journey Together, that it's a great time to probably pick up the singles, but maybe not grade. Maybe you want to sit on the singles for a bit, because they do seem to keep printing, and they do seem to keep going down. So I would stay away from those for now. Anything older that is still minty. So anything that's sort of going out of print, like Paldea, base, God, the God of War, even like go back to Celebrations, because they're all still gem mint cards in Celebrations. It's crazy how these packs keep getting opened. People still open Celebrations, so they'll still be minty cards. But yeah, if you have an older time horizon, the risk is less, because you're not going to wait 2 months, and the singles would have still dumped in those 2 months. That's my advice. Take it as you will. But guys, listen, that's the end of the video. I really appreciate you guys sticking around for all of that rambling. But listen, thank you very much for joining me here today. I will catch you in the next video, hopefully. Guys, I'll see you in a bit. Peace.